On day 6, we will explore the Jourdain area early in the morning before heading out for Zonchance. Early in the morning before Deborah gets up, I will leave our hotel and explore into the Jourdain area, an area we haven't been in before. This area will be extremely quiet considering how busy things get during the middle of the night, and so let's just look around some. After looking around in the morning, we will head from Amsterdam to Zaandam. We'll be taking the train. Along the way, we'll see some modern windmills which are used all over this part of Europe for generating electricity. The towns in the outlying areas have smaller homes, individual homes. We'll have to take a ferry across the river since the bridge is messed up and not able to be used. And here we'll get our first picture of Zonchance. Zaandam is on one bank, it's the modern city. Zonchance is on the other side, and it's the old city, and then many windmills to look at. Let's go exploring. First we'll look at Zonchance. This is an old village that houses have been moved into and people live as they did in olden time. Help people remember how life used to be in this area. But we came to look at the windmills. They have several types of windmills here, as it's a living museum. You can see the saw going up and down in this sawmill. This is the oil mill. This is how they had the original windmills. Why don't we take some time and explore one of the windmills here in more detail. This one is called the Cat. The top part rotates so it faces into the wind. Obviously, we have the sails, as they call them, for generating power. We also have a mechanism for turning the head so that it can face into the wind. The main body of the windmill is used for the mechanism to operate the various tools that are going to be used in it. In this case, it's grinding stone. And then the bottom part is used as a warehouse and work area and a store also. Let's climb through it and explore. And here we can look up and see the actual head that would be turned. Here you can see how the wheel is used for turning the head. You see, every so often there are places he can hook this onto to stop it, and what he does is by turning this, it actually rotates this thing In this picture, we see how the mechanism within the head operates to turn the various pulleys. Then the main shaft is turned, and by pushing these bars left and right, we can turn on and turn off the equipment below. It comes from up there, runs down here to turn and rotates the grinding stones underneath.
Well, it seems to know where to go.
We now need to talk a little bit about polders. Since most of the Netherlands lies below sea level, they have a problem, flooding. So what they do is they take and dig canals around sections of the land, as you see here, throw the peat and dirt up into the middle, and this allows water to drain out of the central portion. Then they build dams around the whole area and start pumping the water out. That's what the windmills started to do, and they end up with dry land. Of course, if the dam ever breaches, then you end up with flooding. As you can see here, as we go along the river level is actually much higher than the land level outside, and you can only see the roofs of the houses over the riverbank.
Beautiful. Oh, my favorite.
And I'm going to explain to you how we make the cheese here. On this farm we make cheese out of goat's milk and cow's milk. In the morning we start with pouring the milk into this container. We heat the milk up until 29 degrees, which is a very important temperature for this liquid called the rennet. And rennet makes the milk thick like a pudding. After 30 minutes in the container, the milk is thick, and we cut it with 3 different knives. And you can see that in the mirror. After the cutting, we get a separation of curds and whey. This is whey and this is curds. We have 90% of whey and only 10% of curds. And we do not use the whey to make the cheese, we feed that to the animals, but we do use the curds, and we put them here into this form. And then we press it for 2 hours under this press. At the same time, we press a label on the cheese, and it says the percentage of fat, what kind of cheese it is, where the cheese comes from, and the number. And every cheese has its own number, and the government uses that to control the species.
Every cheese or every type of cheese?
Every cheese.
Okay.
After 2 hours of pressing, we put the cheese into this bath called the rain bath. It's a salt water solution of 20% of salt and 80% of water. Salt in the water makes the cheese salty, makes sure it gets a natural rind, and it also preserves the cheese. 1 kilogram of cheese stays in this bath for about 24 hours, and after the bath we let the cheese dry and put a paraffin wax layer around it, so you can keep the cheese for 2 months outside the fridge and 4 months inside the fridge. Then we store the cheeses over there. A young cheese stays there for 1 month, the middle old cheese stays there for 6 months, and an old one, like this, stays there for 1 year or more. This one is about 2 years old. You play bowling with it, but better to eat it. Well, I'm going to show you the different types of cheeses we make. This is our natural cheese. This one is with fenugreek, it's an Indian seed and it's a bit like walnut. This is black and white pepper. This is herbs and garlic cheese, goat's cheese, which we also have with herbs and garlic. And this is coriander ginger. We also have smoked cheese. It's normally like this in size. It's just cheese, not sausage. It's melted and then smoked. So that's why we've got the brown rind, and you can still eat the brown rind.
Get you a piece there, Deborah. Is it good?
Very good. I'm going to show you how we...
Deborah, they're all there. We next will visit a museum that shows what life was like here in the 1600s. This was an industrial area with thousands of windmills that were used for all sorts of manufacturing. Let's take a look. Next up, let's see about wooden shoes, how they're made and who wears them.
This is the type that we use, poplar or willow. This is a piece of poplar wood, softwood, and that makes it easy. And cut it by hand. Traditional was all handmade. So nowadays it's all by machine. So starting with a big knife. So you can feel the wood is very wet. Using for inside several sizes of spoon scoop, so they make a hole inside, and so they can still work for the inside. It takes, now big ones like my shoes, it takes 2 or 3 hours making one pair. By machine only just 5 minutes. So this machine makes only the outside. There are 3 knives that got in. This shoe is a copy. A small part of the machine follows it, making copies, making key. Same principle would follow the inside of the shoe. Well, inside of the shoe, finish it with the knife, the front and the heel.
Do I have to wear them if I get them?
Yeah, you gotta wear them to church. We'll finish off the day with a boat ride on the river. So what have you been doing today?
Walking.
And what were you walking doing?
Exploring Saint-Chance. Walking around the bottom of a windmill because I refused to climb the ladders.
Ik heb een keer met hem te maken gehad, ik kreeg gelijk van, dus maar wel.
This boat is one of the boats that they used regularly in this area. You can see the sideboards for sailing. And this is a paint factory. Obviously, it didn't make a very good product. There'll be hundreds and hundreds of boats there. And then we catch the train back to Amsterdam. We get a little bit of French fries along the way with obviously mayonnaise on them. Pack and go to bed.